So this is going to be part 2 of how to build an aluminum car. So if you haven't watched to get to this point, go back, watch it's all step by step basically. So what we're going to do is basically this. So we're going to just do basically framing type of thing within the body support and whatnot. So we're just going to jump right into it. Normally for this, I will fold over aluminum a couple times, really tight, really thin, and like a long strip because it's one solid piece all the way around. So yeah, this car is the first time me actually using like a wire or solder. I'm using very thin solder. Don't know if this holds up to that kind of stuff, but we'll see. So this is just a test. So yeah, the solder is a little thinner, or is weaker than folding up aluminum, which you could use different size wires and whatnot. But yeah, it's a little weaker, but the thing is it doesn't kink. So that's the good thing about wire. With aluminum, it'll kink wherever you bend it, and you have to use pliers to try to unkink it and stuff. So I suggest using wire of some sort that's kind of thinner, but it's all up to you. So what I normally do is I'll get a piece of wire and bend it along the body as much as I can to the closest shape, like place against the body. And normally I will go along here, up, all the way to the back. On caddies I go all the way to the back, down around the wheel well. Now with stuff like Vicks and stuff, I will go around here, come up all the way around and down the back door frame. And then for this, I just double aluminum. I just put one piece of aluminum in the back side of this pillar and then I call it good. But it's all preference on how you build them. But with the caddy, since it's a separate pillar and all that fun stuff, I do that. So see, I bring it here and then I put another wire here, then I put another one here. So we're going to jump right into it. So I got it all bent out, and see how it sits flush almost everywhere. It needs a little, well, there we go. It needs to sit perfectly. But as you can see, it fits real nice, or everywhere. That's a little wonky, which that needs to be fixed. But you'll do the same for all your pillars. Even B pillars go from top right to bottom. This car, just the B pillars one down here, so that's all I'll do. Then from here, I'll go down to the wheel well part. So I'll show you guys that. So now we got all the pieces. We got this. We got these two pieces. This is the C pillar. This would be the B pillar. So from here, you're going to want to test fit it and cut the bottoms of these how you want. I've already test fit. And it should, oh, hard to see. There we go. Should fit in there kind of like that. The body will be formed to it. So what I do is, because I know the wire follows this door seam, so I'll put a small little bit of glue on there, a little bit of glue up in there, just a very thin part all the way around here. And I'll usually leave the bottom here, for now anyway, and I'll glue that in. And I do the same with the other pillars, just trim where needed and whatnot, and I'll show you how that goes. So as you can see, I put a little bit of glue in there. You don't have to worry too much about it cooling down. If you have a torch or something like that, if you don't, you got to do this really fast. But from here, I set it in. Because that's where, that's where it's going to sit. What I do is I have a torch. You can use a lighter, takes a little longer. But you're just going to want to heat up where the glue is and force it to stay. It's going to be hot, so Do the same over here. And now, if you do have these made out of aluminum, like the inner supports, you can put the torch on the inside. But with solder, you have to be careful with that so you don't melt it. And you just work your way around. And you make the top stick, which is a little hot. There we go. And the back. Oh, not on the inside. There we go. It's pretty much glued in. And just do the same steps for the other ones. You want to make it as symmetrical to the other side, so this needs some fixing up. But yeah, so from here, this will go in here. And I'll just have to cut off the bottom, which is fine. So I'll show you once that's all done. Now we got all these glued in. Whoops, bent that. You can bend all your tabs over. You might have to trim them. This front pillar I'm going to squeeze with pliers because they are quite thin on the real cars and I want to try to mimic that. But oh, need to fix that. It turned on me. So I'll show you how it looks once I bend all the tabs over and do all that, and then we'll move on to the next step. So we got all the tabs, everything cut. As you can see, looks pretty good from the outside when they're all folded over. So from here, inner door supports, depending on the car, it all depends. I know a lot of old irons had the C-channel stuff in there, so I pre-made this. All I did, fold it over. It's probably a little tall, but whatever. Vicks have like a round tube in there. It's just very thin, goes across. Technically it'd be 2 pieces, but it's just simpler to do 1 piece. So yeah, I will put this on here and I will mark out right there where I need to cut it, and I'll end it where the wire is or whatever you used. And then I'll also cut just a little slit here so it sits flush in the body. And I'll show you that. So here it is. I marked it all out. I know roughly where I'm going to put it. It's going to be where that seam is. So roughly right there. And I'm just going to glue it in. So for that, I normally just put a really thin layer of glue, the best I can, on this edge. And just place it down, and if it dries by the time you place it down, use the torch, or if it's in the wrong spot, you can kind of slide it into the right spot. So I'm looking at this car, or this side I should say. I'll probably put it right about there, something like that, and I'll glue that in, and I'll show you what I'm going to do for that, and then we'll go from there. So for this step, you don't have to do it. You can actually skip this step. I marked out the other side so I know where to cut. It's, you know, but all you do is you put a piece of metal here, mark out where it's going to sit kind of on there and overlap it just a little bit. This side actually, yeah, it overlaps just the littlest bit. So yeah, you'll cut a triangle just so this pillar doesn't collapse. I know these cars are really bad for it. So yeah, all you're going to do is cut a triangle out, whatever angle you want. I don't want it too steep. So I'm just going to cut out what I traced and glue it in there. So from this point, we're going to do inner door skins type of thing. All you're really going to do is get a square piece of metal, and basically put a piece of metal basically where like this wire outlines, maybe a little further depending where your firewall is going to end. So you need to figure that out. Firewalls do not go straight across from pillar to pillar. People do that all the time, and it just doesn't look good, and you have a lot of engine space. So yeah, this firewall's probably going to end probably right here. So you're going to want to make your inner door skin go out to there. So from there to there, that's how long you want it. Now you want it as tall from door, top of door to bottom of the, like the bottom, the rocker, and I'll tell you why. And I'll cut those out and I'll show you the next step for that. So now I got the inner skins cut out. If you really wanted to, you could cut all the holes out, whatever. But I'm not going to do that. So you're going to want enough room for your frame to sit down here. And this will determine your floor height, essentially. That's roughly where the firewall is going to be, which is important information that we'll have to have, because if this is too short, like that, it won't sit on your firewall. And if it's too long, actually I prefer it to be a little long, and then I'll bend the side over so the firewall has something to catch onto and glue. So as you can see, it fits in there perfectly up top. So now we have to kind of judge how far up we want that. So we got it here. That's roughly how high you're going to want it. You could go a little lower, honestly, which I think I'm going to rebend it. But that's what you're going to want to do. And then from here, you'll just glue it. Put a glue. I usually go around the edges and then do a big X, and it kind of just catches whatever it does or whatever it can. And then that's kind of it for the inner door skin. You'll just cut it wherever the firewall goes. And yeah, I'll show you after it's all glued in. So before you glue it in, make sure you just mark out the firewall. We're going to actually cut it first. Actually, what I do instead is I mark it out, then just fold it over. It's best if you have a ruler. You can kind of go like this, and then it'll be perfectly square. And you don't need that much on there. I normally just... So, you want that bend, you want that bend. There's your door skin. Now from here I'll do an outline, do an X or 2 X's on the doors, kind of whatever I feel like it. And just stick it on the body, and if it doesn't stick totally, I get the torch heated up and make sure it sticks down everywhere. So yeah. So there it is. It's all glued in. Eventually, when we do the wheel wells, which will be in the next step, like next video, you're gonna want to cut this actually out here, or you can cut slits in it kind of like that and just bend those up so you have a tab for your wheel well to kind of sit in. Because if you're gonna crash these and you have the wheel well kind of sitting on here, it'll blow out your whole back. It'll blow out the whole back floor without bending your pillars. This way, it has to pull all your pillars up. It has to pull everything up. So, yeah, you can do that step now, or you can do that step later. I'll probably do it right now. But, yeah, that's it for this part. The next part should be either cage or floor. You can go a couple ways about the next step. I've done it where I've built the whole floor, then put a cage in it. I've also done it, I put a cage in it, then put a floor. It's all preference, it's all trial and error. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.